Hello and welcome and happy Wednesday. Welcome to What's New, What's Next, AAC on our Speak Pros page. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm really excited to be bringing Kate Ahern on with me today. She has been doing amazing things in the space of AAC homeschooling. So let's bring her on. Hello, how are you, Kate?
I'm good. How are you, May?
Wonderful, doing well. I can't believe we're on the 1st of July now.
Right? Time flies.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember during the pandemic, they called it Mapril, putting March and April together. Now
Yeah.
I feel like it was Moon, M-U-N-E. Okay, well, I am so excited to have you here, and I have a billion questions for you. And I know that I could go on, but let's start with a really good one, which is how did you get involved in this space and doing what you're doing in assistive technology?
So I majored in special education. I knew from when I was in high school I wanted to work with kids who had communication differences. I worked with a friend of mine in high school named Scott, and Scott communicated with a board maker pictures on his wheelchair tray. And
Wow.
yeah, and then he got a PRC light talker, which was a static display board that used MinSpeak,
Mhm.
and
We're
nobody
going
knew
way back, Kate.
way back. So that's where I started, and then I with Scott, and then I majored in intensive special education, and
Mhm.
just always took the classrooms that had kids who used AAC. So I did that, for 20 something years. And then
Wow.
I started blogging, and then I made a shift to doing assistive technology, which I liked when I got to do AAC, but didn't really thrill me when I got to do some other stuff. Working with adults who had stroke and stuff wasn't really my interest. So I went to private practice, and now all I do is AAC.
That's amazing. Now, do you love technology in general, or is it just this area of
No, I,
technology?
I I do love tech, but I'm not quite the tech junkie some people are. Um,
Yeah.
just I love AAC. I love everything about it. I love learning about it. I love using it. I find it fascinating. I wish that it could ever I wish it could do more and truly be fast enough and flexible enough for all of my clients, but I think it's such a profound gift to give somebody the tools to express themselves if they don't already have it. So
Yes, I love hearing your journey because you really started from like the no tech level. And I think that's like just basic communication, whether you're using like, hand signals, drawing, right? The MinSpeak was one of the first to come out, and you were right there with it. So you've seen the evolution
oh
over the
yeah, and
years, right?
I look back in my first classroom that I ever had. We had kids with MacBooks, and it was back when a MacBook had like a ball in the middle that was a trackball,
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
and they'd
Oh
be
my
running like
gosh.
Speaking Dynamically Pro, and we'd have
Hmm.
all these cords hanging off because you had to have a switch interface, and you had to, so they'd have their wheelchair with this laptop with Speaking Dynamically Pro, with all these wires attached to outside
Hmm.
switches. Remember the bass switches? They were square, and it wasn't jelly bean switches back then. And
Right,
so
right.
yeah, that's where I started, and then I had Geminis in my classroom,
Hmm.
and I had freestyles, and then I had Enkidu talkers and chat PCs, and all the way up until till iPads and eye gaze. And I had one of the first Tobys in my classroom. It was a Toby P10, and the thing practically ran off a car battery. It couldn't be moved. It was mounted to the classroom table because it was massive, and the battery for it was massive. And Yeah, my classroom photos are like a study in AAC history.
But you know what's amazing here is I've gone into schools and you go into the supply room and you see the shelf of all of these days gone by switches and hardware, and people don't know what to do with it, so that it just sits there. And I'm listening to you, and can you tell me about like what your mind, how you would process this when you got this new device? It sounds like you're so creative with it and you're so open and flexible. Whereas, a lot of people need to be shown this is okay, this is exactly how you use it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think first of all, I wasn't ever given anything I didn't ask for, so I knew I was asking for it, and we fought hard because my kids were not considered candidates for AAC. So the speech therapist I work for and I fought hard to get them devices. So by the
Mhm.
time they arrived, there was no wondering what to do with it. It was how fast can we get started?
But you're an early
Um,
adopter and you saw the potential of what this could do.
yeah, I mean, I guess I never really thought about it as anything other than, here's a tool we need to make communication happen.
Hmm.
So, and then I have stories. Like I had a young lady who got her first Gemini, and super exciting. And it was a trial device to take data on. And I had a young man in my class who had some behavioral challenges, and he managed to flip the desk that the Gemini was on and
Oh.
send it flying across the room and destroyed it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so we had to deal with telling the ATI, the company that made the Gemini, that we destroyed the loaner. So, you know, um, but no, I don't think I've never felt like I didn't know what to do with the product. I always have more felt like, wow, there's so many things I could do. What am I going to do with it first?
This is actually bringing me to thinking about presuming competence. And I feel like that's something that was introduced maybe a couple of years ago where it was like a aha moment. Like, yes, you should be presuming competence, like presuming that the person you're working with is going to be able to do a certain ability or a certain level. And it sounds like you were doing this right from the beginning.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a kind of a tough pass with the phrase presume competence, so I don't use it. I say
Hmm.
presume potential, which
Hmm.
I think is in many ways different. When you presume competence, you assume the child in front of you can do everything right now. And I think that
Right.
leads to a problem of you give them a tool, and then when they don't immediately do something with it, that you feel like they've not shown what they can do.
Hmm.
Whereas with
Hmm.
presumed potential, it's, the sky's the limit, but it's not magic. I'm not just going to put this in front of you and you're magically going to talk to me. It's you have the potential to learn this, and I have the potential to learn this. And together we're going to make it happen. And there's no limit to what you might learn. You have the potential to read and write, you have the potential to do math, you have the potential to graduate. You assume all these potentials, but you don't assume that you're going to get there without work.
Exactly. And that actually brings me to what's new, which is why I'm so excited to have you here. I know personally what you've been up to because I've been following you on Facebook. And at the end of this, we'll make sure everybody knows how to follow you. But can you share with us what you have been up to? What is new in this space of AAC for you and your students?
So I don't know if I wasn't paying attention, or I mean, I'm an NPR junkie, so I'm not sure how I didn't realize that this virus was hitting us. But in mid-March, all of a sudden it was wash your hands, and then it was then it was the colleges and universities were shutting down. And
Hmm.
I consult in a school that is connected to a university, and the student teachers were all getting notices that the university was shutting down. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh, wow, so this is serious. And at that point, I hadn't been paying attention. And then 24 hours later, Massachusetts shut down schools.
Right.
And then so that was Wednesday, I think the 11th of March, Massachusetts shut down schools. But I work in New Hampshire too. So the next day I was up in New Hampshire at a school, and I was chatting with the mom of the child I was they're consulting on. And, so I said, oh, well, if schools are closed, maybe I'll do some online groups. And it was
Mm-hmm.
just the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that was a Thursday. And by Monday, I was like, all right, so let's do some online groups. So I started with morning meeting, shared reading, and shared writing, I think. So that was that first week we did 3 classes a day. By the next week, we were doing 6. By the week after, we were doing 7. So for 15, yeah, for 15 weeks, I ran classes online. This week, I'm taking a little break, and then we'll start back on Monday, and we'll do 8 weeks of summer classes, and again, 7 to 8 classes a day. Um, and it's been amazing. The word I keep using is magical. I don't have another way to describe it.
Love that word.
Um,
Yep.
Journey for all of us. I'm serving 40 to 50 families a week from across the USA and Canada, including Puerto Rico. I'm serving other countries. I've got kids besides Canada. I've got a student from the UK. I've got a student from the
Amazing.
United Arab Emirates. So very diverse population in the school. We're doing, most classes, the preschool and some other groups I keep to, about 10 kids. Some of the classes I let get kind of big,
Mm.
15, sometimes 20.
Wow. Oh
But
my gosh.
yeah, yeah, which is crazy. But as long as everybody is sort of following sort of Zoom manners, it works
Mm-hmm.
out okay. I mean, it's not
Mm-hmm.
perfect, but it works out okay. Um, and the kids adore it.
Yes.
The I thought that this was just something we were going to do, um, just to kill time, and then
Mm-hmm.
it got, the weeks kept passing, and then we started to see real growth and change in the kids. The preschool group in particular. First of all, we graduated 3 kids out of the preschool group because
Wow.
it was got too easy for them.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the kids in the preschool group have learned a head nod and a
Mm-hmm.
shake. And I got a text,
Wow.
and we also work on shrugging our shoulders for I don't know.
Yes.
And I got a text yesterday from a mom where her daughter was in her, local home therapy session, and the therapist asked her a question. There was a pause, and then the little girl shrugged her shoulders. And the
Yes.
therapist was like, "Did she just shrug her shoulders at me to say I don't
Yes.
know?" And her mom was like,
Generalizing to real
"Yeah,
life. Yes.
yep,
Oh my God, I
that's what
love
she
this.
did. That's what they've been working on."
Excellent.
Yeah, and we have a few kids who in the preschool group who developed a point who didn't have one yet.
Mm. Yep. Isolated
Which,
finger.
yep.
Yep.
And then we have tons of kids who at first could not sit through a 40-minute group. And I don't
Yes.
care
Yeah,
about
that's a
that.
long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't care if they're sitting or not, as long as they're
They're
in the room
laying,
listening. Yeah.
they're on the
And that's
floor.
fine. But
Yeah.
we have a whole bunch of kids who have moved from, we have one little girl who hid under her covers the first 2 weeks she did group.
Wow.
And now she
Wow.
sits at the table and attends and laughs and smiles.
Oh, wow.
Um, we have a little boy who hasn't been in school in 3 years because
Hmm.
school can't handle his behaviors, but he's doing 2 groups a day with me without any issues.
Right. Right. Oh my
Just
gosh, I
tons
love this.
of, the kids connecting with each other. They FaceTime each other. The parents
Hmm.
connecting with each other
Oh,
because
it's amazing.
we do a caregiver chat once a week where we just I'll bring some wine and hang out on Zoom, and
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and we
Okay, all
do.
right. I got to stop you 1 second. So we have almost 50 people watching this Facebook Live, and I know that this is going to be a mix of parents who already know and love Kate, people who have seen these posts and want to hear more about the school, and then professionals like myself, speech pathologists, assistive technology professionals who want to hear more about this and find out how you can start this with your clients. So before we move on, I just want to do 2 things. One is, Kate, how can people connect with you? Probably through Facebook, but what's the best way to connect?
Probably Facebook. My business is AAC Voices LLC, and we have a business Facebook page, so you can message me there. You can friend me on Facebook, but it's my personal Facebook, so you're going to get all
Mhm.
sorts of politics and other stuff that you may not be interested in. So it might be best to go through my business if you don't want to be inundated with my political opinions. I'm on Twitter, but I don't check it, so probably don't do that. So, but yeah, probably Facebook is the best way. I also run AAC through Motivate Model Move Out of the Way, which
That's a
is
Facebook group.
a Facebook group that at this point it's our fourth anniversary, the end of the month,
Hmm.
and we have over 10,000 members now,
Wow.
talking about AAC, all from the perspective of presumed potential.
Hmm.
Um, it's an awesome resource. It's an incredible group. Professionals, AAC users, parents,
Hmm.
all over the world. So that's another way to find me. Um,
Beautiful. Okay, so before we move on, I also want to let everyone know that Kate is also going to be presenting with Exceptional Ed in the fall at the end of September, AAC After Work, and she will be focusing on how to create the AAC classes. So we're really excited. Hopefully you can join us there. Now, the other thing is I've been trying to keep these to 15 minutes, and I told Kate at the beginning, I know we're going to go over. So we have one
we've
minute
gone
left. I have
over.
one more big question. I know. So if it's okay with everyone, I'm going to stay on. You can go ahead and put any comments in the or questions or comments in the comment section, and we'll be able to see it. I wanted to let you know you have a special visitor, Kate. I'm just going to put this on. You can see Hamani and I are watching.
Oh, hi,
Yay!
Hamani. And I think Sienna's watching too. Hi, Sienna. So Sienna is a private client of mine who lives where I live, so I've been working with her for years. And we just added like 200 words to her talker, and that's what I was showing her the new stuff right before I joined you. And
Mm-hmm,
Hamani is a client that I met through Zoom classes,
mm-hmm,
and who has just had amazing things happen in her life. The biggest being that she had been supposedly so she had been tested to be at an 18-month level,
mm-hmm,
and it turns out that was wrong. She is academically typical, and
mm-hmm.
it turns out she can type and spell and has all sorts of knowledge that no one knew she had. And her latest thing is she's been writing these amazing stories, these fiction stories. So I am waiting for my next session with her, because in the last story, she and I went to Mumbai, and I can't wait to find out what's going to happen in our
Yes.
adventure.
So those of us who are connected with Kate already, we've been kind of going through this journey with Hamani and her family, and there are these beautiful YouTube videos that you can watch and just kind of move through those initial stages with them. And it is amazing. And of course, I cried and I was like, this is amazing. So just thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you, Hamani's mom, for joining us and allowing us to share all the wonderful things that your family is experiencing right now. Okay, so the last question is, let's see if I can find it here. What's next? So, as a an expert in AAC, what do you see as the future of AAC?
um, well, I mean, for me, it's never about the product. I'm very system agnostic. Um, but I mean, I'm hoping that what is happening in the world of consumer electronics carries over into AAC. I'd like to see things getting smaller and cheaper and more user friendly. I'd love to see
Mhm,
more stuff that's like the Apple Watch, or like different wearable stuff. I would love to see and I would love to see more client focused design. I think there are companies who've gone off the rails a little bit and designed products for caregivers that are just not very well designed
mhm.
for the actual users. And I'm just hoping that, the companies get back on track, and that the new companies are much more client focused. And I but again, just give me a system, we'll find a way to make it work.
That's
So
incredible. I love it. So Lucas Stuber is on with us, and you know him
yes,
from,
he
I
told
know you
me he
guys have
was going
been.
to heckle me.
Yes, yes. You've been together a number of years, and we're so excited to have him as our product development manager here, coming from years of experience, being an app developer himself, working with large companies. And he really is helping to lead our team here at Cognixion, where we're really working on the future of technologies, wearables, and exactly what you're saying, getting smaller, We right now are working with eye tracking technology on the iPad, which is so cool. I'm definitely an Apple girl. Are you an Apple girl?
Yeah,
Right?
I am.
I know. I love those Android commercials where they battle it out at a wedding.
I'm not a TV girl, so not seen the commercials.
Well, I just love that, the cutting edge. And like you said about the watch, just being early adopters. And it's people like you that are going to be able to use technologies like the things that we're working on and helping to bring that right into real life functional communication.
Hopefully,
Thank
that's
you.
the
Thank
aim.
you so much for joining us, Kate. And I invite everybody, plug in, follow her, find out how she's doing with her families and her friends, and let's bring this all together and make homeschool AAC really fun and really functional.
Thanks, May.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Bye.
All right. Thank you so much. This has been another amazing AAC What's New, What's Next. I want to let you know that this was brought to you by the Speak Pros app, which offers intuitive interface that allows people to express themselves using swipes, taps, and eye tracking technology. You can find out more at speakpros.com or contact me directly for a demo, and you can get professional access to Speak Pros Pro Plus. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next week.